Form 4, Bab 9, Perkembangan di Eropah. So this chapter is all about the development from the Middle Ages through the Renaissance and all the way to the Industrial Revolution in Europe. Okay, so it all started in 476 Masehi when Rome Barat, East Rome, fell, right? And because of this, it kick-started an entire set of events, right? So in general, the first part of the chapter we'll see is Zaman Pertengahan, the Middle Ages, which started during the Zaman Gelap, which is the peringkat awal, which then it reached the Kemuncak, and then reached Akhir, and finally reached Renaissance at the end, right? And Renaissance is what led to the further Reformation, and then we'll see about penjelajahan dan penerokaan, which is exploration. So we'll begin. Fourth, the Middle Ages. First one was Zaman Gelap, the Dark Ages, and the ciri-ciri was right after Rome fell, there was no more kuasa pusat, right? There's no more central government in all of the states. So because of this, start muncul golongan baron or tuan tanah, those who own land. And when this started, golongan petani had to bayar cukai untuk perlindungan baron. They pay tax for their protection. And because of that, as they got more miskin, they had to soon give out their land and became slaves. And this whole system is known as the feudal system feudal, where the baron has to pay tax to the king and the people have to work for the barons. So that's system feudal. Besides that, the Gereja Catholic focused only on akhirat, after life after death, and very mengongkong kehidupan. People were educated not to focus on succeeding in life, but only in religion, focusing after death. So another side effect of this was that economy mundur. There wasn't a lot of economical growth, especially since the perdagangan, the trade, was diganggu oleh serangan orang Gasar. For example, the Magyars from Hungary and the Vikings from Norway. And at the same time, a lot of economy couldn't grow because they only were limited to perdagangan barter trade, not using currency. So that's the ciri-ciri for Zaman Gelap. As we moved on to the Kemuncak Pertengahan, the peak of the Middle Ages, something started to change. First, the Gereja, the church, became the agent for penyatuan, for unity in the people. Besides this, there was also a start of change in the economy as trade increased. And this led to kemunculan bandar-bandar baru, new cities, especially in Italy, as you can see, Florence, Milan, and Venice. And through the new development of cities, there was a new birth of kelas pertengahan, a middle class who had enough money to afford what they wanted to do. And they could do extra stuff, for example, artisans, traders, and bankers. And there soon started a culture where your social status is based on your richness, your wealth, kekayaan. And lastly, there was a parliament which started to wujud untuk memenuhi tuntutan rakyat, okay, to fulfill the people's promise, fulfill people's needs, right? So that's the peak of the Middle Ages. Soon this developed into the end of the Middle Ages, which is the Renaissance. So the Renaissance itself means penghargaan semula ilmu, the penghargaan of like ilmu. And the word Renaissance comes from the Italian word renasciment, which means rebirth, right? So one of the ciri-ciri of the Renaissance is that it berasaskan humanism, right? Humanism is a school of thought where humans, right, have to think to solve problems. And the father of humanism is Francesco Petrarch, okay? So what he did is a bit of sudut maklumat stuff, where he made a library and he collected and translated a lot of texts from Yunani, Greece, and Islam punya texts. And soon he started reading and started researching about the different schools of thought that they all had, and then he developed his own. Another kind of tokoh that they highlight in the Sudut Maklumat is Niccolo Machiavelli, who wrote a few controversial books about how the rakyat should be the ones who tunduk kepada the raja. So that's humanism. And the reason why the Renaissance even started in the first place is, and why it happened in Italy, is because of kedudukan strategic Italy, which was in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, right? So as cities in the Italy started to become more famous, more people got attracted and started to trade with them and become pusat perdagangan. And as with any city trade, it started to become pusat pertembungan idea. And then pedagang-pedagang kaya, all the traders who were rich enough, became patrons, okay? Like those who, this word means penaung seni, as you'll see later. And these people started to mengindahkan bandar. They wanted to make their cities more beautiful and attract more people. And this became a tumpuan, attraction for artisans and seniman. So that's the sebab-sebab. Now we move on to ciri-ciri, what was actually happening to the Renaissance. So first there were patrons who were penaung seni. For example, the most famous one was Keluarga Medici, and it was, besides this, there was also the fact of the church. So Paus Rome, which is the Pope, the Roman Pope, was very jealous of the pencapaian of Italy, and he wanted to make Rome more beautiful. Unfortunately, he didn't. The Catholic Church did not support a lot of scientists, right? So you know the stories about Galileo and all that. He didn't support them, and so Rome became only a tumpu pada seni, lukis, dan ukir. It only became a center for art, right? So because of that, the Roman Church, the Catholic Church, started to pay a lot of suniman artists to come and beautify Rome. For example, the cathedrals and all that. So the pusat seni berpindah from Italy to Rome. Besides this, there was also the point of individualism, the school of thought and a philosophy, where a lot of artists developed this instead of working as a group, and you can't really make your mark as a group, which is what they did during the Middle Ages, Dark Ages. Now artists could work for themselves and make their own mark as individual. So semangat tunjuk bakat individu. Besides this, the concept for pendidikan also changed, okay, education. So pendidikan focused on pembinaan kemahiran semua aspek. So all aspects, including intellectual and physical, was tekankan. So you have people who are all-rounders, known as Renaissance men. For example, Leonardo da Vinci and all that. So that's ciri-ciri. Kesan of the Renaissance was, first, dari segi politik, there was new monarchies, for example, Portugal, England, and France, which we'll see. These will come into play in the exploration part later. And also, since there were new monarchies, now people had to pay tax straight to the Kerajaan Pusat instead of going through the system feudal by the barons, right? So that's politik. Dari segi economy, there was more trade, so sara diri pupus, nobody started to work for themselves, people started to trade more, pegadang luas. At the same time, the increase in trade also encouraged more exploration, perlukan meningkat, and this led to perkembangan science. After economy, we have social, and the main one is the change in people's mindsets, right? So people started to live more for themselves and more about menzahirkan emosi. As you can see here, a lot of art was made, and people more comfortable with sharing their emotions through art, like paintings and music and poetry. And also, a lot of the culture menekankan pemikiran tinggi. So people started to focus on increasing your self-worth, right? And ilmu was for memajukan manusia. So that's the Renaissance. The next part of the chapter is about the Reformation, which focus on Germany and the Catholic Church. So the reason why the Reformation even happened, if you know the word what Reformation means, it means reforming, right? Making something new. So the reason why it happened was the gereja, the Catholic Church, mula hidup mewah dan melakukan penyelewengan. Okay, so they started to cheat people out through indulgences. Okay, you can see what the whole story are later through the links in the description. And they started to tidak mencerminkan Bible, right? So they don't live following the Bible set, right? At the same time, a lot of people couldn't actually access the Bible, couldn't read it, and because there wasn't a lot of there wasn't an easy way to make a lot of copies of the Bible, right? So a big starter of this is Johann Gutenberg, who actually invented the printing press, right? And because of this, the Bible could be printed with low price and fast, right? Because of this, everyone started to read the Bible, and soon they started to get an idea that what the church was doing wasn't matching what they were reading. And the man who really started the whole Reformation was Martin Luther, right? He's the German priest who started to menyoalkan kewibawaan gereja. He started to question the integrity of the Catholic Church. And he started a whole movement, the Protestant movement, and this became a new mazhab, a new sect of Christianity, which membantah Catholic Church. So that's the whole Reformation. So as a result, a lot of wars occurred where Christianity split into a lot of different sects, different mazhab. An example is the 30 Years' War of Europe. And then meanwhile, the Catholic Church started to lose power because Eropah tidak dikuasai oleh satu mazhab. There's a lot of sects now, and they couldn't control everyone. But as the textbook stress, nowadays people have started to understand each other more and lahir sikap toleransi and sedar akan kesatuan, unity, makes hidup murni, right? So that's a bit of a part of the textbook lah. So that's all about the Middle Ages.